Fight Mike here. Today we're going to be breaking down the UFC 319 main event headlined by Dricus du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev. I'm going to be doing my full prediction and breakdown of this fight card sometime next week, but I'm going to just be doing the main event in this video. I didn't want to cram it all into my full predictions video, but I wanted to talk about this one at length a little bit just because this matchup really fascinates me. Everyone online seems to have a differing opinion on this. Some people are picking Khamzat by round 1 sub. Some people are picking Dricus by round like 2-3 KO. A lot of people are pretending like Khamzat's literally got one round to win this fight. And if he doesn't win it in the first, he's not winning the fight in general. But I completely disagree with this one. I think it's going to be a back and forth war between the two. I think it's going to be a very difficult fight for either guy to win. And it's just really difficult matchup-wise to predict. There's so many unknowns between the two of them. Like, how will Dricus' grappling handle against someone like Khamzat, someone as elite at wrestling as Khamzat? How is Khamzat going to deal with DDP's strength, cardio, and power? These are all like massive questions that we've not seen the answer to on both of their sides. So I think it's going to be super interesting. As well, Khamzat wants to have this fight be a sprint. DDP no doubt will want this to be a marathon. The longer this fight goes, the more it swings towards DDP's way. And the shorter this fight goes, the more it swings towards Khamzat's way. I think, though, one thing that I saw in Lucas Tracy's breakdown, I was going to say glaze down of this fight, but he says that if Khamzat doesn't sprint early, that he's showing that he's going to, like, almost going to most definitely lose the fight, just because he'll be showing that he's doubting himself, because he's done that in every fight, and I completely agree with that. So much so that I just don't think that Khamzat's going to go in with a style that's not what he usually does. If you watched all his, like, 13 or 14 fights, however many he's had, every single fight, the first round's a sprint. Even Gilbert Burns is the one fight that they point to, saying it's not a sprint in that fight. That fight is still a sprint. He's just striking it. He's not wrestling. He will always go pedal to the metal in that first round, and I don't see him not doing that. One thing, though, is that in the Whittaker fight, he didn't sprint as hard, and I think that this is sort of the modification to his style that he's made. I think he's grappling a lot smarter in that fight, and I think if you look at the Usman fight compared to that fight, it's a completely different game in that. In that first round, I think he probably used 50% energy that Khamzat usually uses in the first round. I think he forced positions a little bit less. If you watch the Khamzat versus Usman fight, he was really forcing that back take, and he was making sure he got there very quickly. Whereas Whittaker, he's really slowly moving towards that spot. He's not forcing the positions. He's sort of Makhachev-style grappling, where he's waiting for you to make the mistake. And I think that worked really well with him against Whittaker. And I think that him not forcing positions really helped him. But against Kamaru Usman, I think Kamaru also is so good at stopping the takedown that you kind of have to force those positions. He's so skilled in those positions that I think that you have to force it. Whereas DDP, I don't think that you do have to force it. I think that his takedown defense historically is not very good at all. I don't think he's got good takedown defense in any way, shape, or form. But I think it's going to take still the non-stop like grabbing and dragging of Khamzat to be able to take Dricus down, similar to what he did to Usman, similar to what he did to Kevin Holland, to be able to take Dricus down just because he's a physically strong guy. But I still think Khamzat's going to have that same approach like he did to Whittaker. I think it's going to be him a lot more composed in the grappling than he was in the Usman fight. I think he still will have to use a couple of strength-based movements, but not nearly as much as he did against Usman. And I think that it might be controversial, but I think that Whittaker's probably got better takedown defense than Dricus. I think Dricus is probably better once they hit the ground, but I think getting to the ground, I think Dricus is easier to get there, which is a weird thing to say in this fight, just because Dricus has shown that he's like sometimes quite easy to take down. We've seen with Whittaker, he was able to just blast double leg him quite easily. Or Derek Brunson, I think at one point was able to get Dricus down quite easily, but I don't think that really makes as much of a difference. I think making Khamzat work is very, very important, but I don't think that it matters whether you're making him work on the actual floor or getting to the floor. And I think Dricus will be able to make him work in both positions. I expect Dricus to get taken down straight away. I think first 15 seconds of the fight, Khamzat's going to be able to still land that normal takedowns he usually can. But much like everyone else, much like Whittaker, much like Usman, I think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna give the back position like both Usman and Whittaker were able to. I think he's gonna roll to his back so that he can maybe give up half guard or full guard if he really can. And I think that Khamzat probably will spend the most of the round in half full guard, maybe transition to side control, maybe get to mount in the last minute, land a couple of ground and pound shots. But I think Khamzat's probably going to have to work very hard on the ground in that first round. I don't think it's going to be like the Whittaker situation. And even if it is, and he's not got the hooks in, but he's digging on the chin of Dricus, getting a face crank, I honestly think Whittaker's tough as nails. Don't get me wrong. I'm a massive Whittaker fan, and I've always have been. Just being an Australian, I think that sort of gives you 10% more Whittaker fandom. But I think that Khamzat versus Whittaker, I think Whittaker's like jaw or whatever was wrong with his jaw, I think that really does play into a factor of it. If he doesn't get finished by, I don't think he gets finished by that face crank unless it moves his teeth. And if you've seen Whittaker's teeth over the years, he's missing at least 5 of them on his bottom level. So it's no doubt that actually happened to him in that fight. But I think that Dricus is going to be able to have like a bit stronger of a body, a bit less malleable than Whittaker. And even if he gets a face crank on Dricus, I think that even if he gets a submission on Dricus, I think Dricus is just going to go out cold. I think a face crank isn't going to get Dricus out of there. I think he'll let his jaw snap and keep fighting. I actually think Dricus could be on the top like 4 toughest fighters in the roster. Maybe top 1. He's really tough as nails. The way that I put it is, you look at Dricus, there's so many points in the fight where his mentality should be tested. There's points in the fight against Adesanya where he's getting outpointed very clearly. There's points against Whittaker where he's getting taken down with ease. There's points in every Dricus fight that it seems that he's a much easier fighter to come against. And even if he has that 50% takedown defense that I'm showing on screen, he still forces his way out of positions. He still never quits. We've not seen a moment in a Dricus fight where he just gives up, especially in the UFC. I think in this fight, I think Khamzat will be the guy that has to make the adjustments. I think that Dricus is tough as nails, and even if he gets put in these positions, he's not going to get deterred, and he'll know that he's got time later in the fight. I think that Khamzat needs to ensure that he doesn't use a lot of energy in that first round and in that second round, making sure that he cannot just like let Dricus up, make him work for nothing, making Dricus make... Sorry, I'm messing up my words all day today, but he can't let Dricus make Khamzat work on the ground. Khamzat really has to pass those positions and hunt for the submission, getting it early as well. Round 2, though, I think Khamzat will probably get an early takedown as well. I don't think he's going to be as gassed as people think in that second round. I think he's probably going to be almost completely fine. I think he might force a better position in this round, though. I expect him to do a little bit more damage in this round. I think that he's not going to succeed, and Dricus is going to do the same thing and roll to his back yet again. And Khamzat's just going to be like, I'm not sticking in guard the whole time this round, or I'm not going to not advance to mount in the first minute of this round. I need as much time as I want. And I think that he's just going to try and force Dricus and get to the back at some point, or get to mount. I think that he's going to be able to put some damage onto Dricus. I think he's going to blow up some scars on Dricus's face, probably land some meaningful ground and pound. But then I think that it's going to be a round where Khamzat's really going to dominate it, but Dricus isn't going to look like he's wilting at all. I think Dricus is, although he's going to get hit with some ground and pound shots, maybe face cranked a couple of times in the round, he's going to be grinning by the end of the round knowing, yeah, we got a round 3 coming out now. And then round 3, as it's coming around, I think Khamzat will start to slow a little bit, but not really that much. I think it will look more like the Usman's second round, where he didn't look that slow in that round. But I think that Dricus' size and pressure and strength is going to start wearing on him. All that playing bottom, where Dricus is just holding on to Khamzat, not letting him go with the life of him. And I think that Dricus is going to start defending a couple of takedowns in this round, landing some cleaner strikes as well. Winning the round most definitely. Round 4, I think, is going to be a very clear Dricus round. We will see the turning of the tide in this round, but we're also going to see Khamzat save energy. I think he's not going to shoot as much takedowns, but I think he's going to be still shooting as Dricus comes in, maybe getting Dricus down once or twice, but they're both going to be quite sweaty by this point. And I think that this is the round that Khamzat's really going to take off, especially with the striking. I think he's going to look like he did against Usman in round 3 and sort of spend the most of the round shadow boxing at range. But I think at this point, Khamzat's going to feel that Dricus is the better striker and really focus on that energy conserving. I think that Dricus is going to open up probably not this entire fight with a lot of kicks. I think the kicking is really a bad idea, especially his body kick is a bad idea against Khamzat to avoid the takedown. I think he'll still be throwing head kicks, especially the question mark kick to the head. I think round 4 is when his kicks are going to start landing, especially the leg kicks and head kicks. And I think he's going to start chewing up Khamzat, landing quite a bit of damage in this round. I think he's probably going to land a cut on Khamzat, maybe beat him up a little bit. You see Khamzat start to wilt towards the end of the round. But I think that you're also going to see some ultimate energy preserving from Khamzat in that round. Round 5, I think, is going to be a potential fight of the year candidate round where it's just absolute war between the two of them. I think Khamzat's going to get a second win just because he knows he's only got one more round and he'll win the entire fight. And he knows that if he sprints in this round, that he still has a good chance to finish Dricus. And he knows that he also has to sprint in the round if he wants to win the round. I reckon early he's probably going to land a good takedown on Dricus. And I think he's probably going to control him for a minute, but he's going to use every ounce of his energy to keep him on the ground and win that part of the round. But I think Dricus being so slippery, being wet, being still powerful, having good cardio, he's going to be able to get up in that position, get back to the feet. Dricus will start landing cleaner. He's start going to landing his overhands, possibly dropping Khamzat at some point in the rounds, but also taking damage of his own. I think Khamzat's uppercut's going to land throughout this fight every round. I think that's going to land very well. I think he's going to put a bit more damage on Dricus in that last round. I could see a finish either side, but I think that Dricus is going to win in round 5. With it being 2-2 heading into the round. I think that Dricus, the one thing is that as this fight goes along, Khamzat's going to be second-guessing every single step of the way. If you think that he's not, then you don't know how the human brain works. Khamzat, no matter how mentally tough he is, he's going to be thinking, damn, he's not out in the first round. I didn't get to submit him. Damn, he's not out in the second round. Damn, he's not out in the third round. And I've not gone to the 4th and 5th rounds. I think round 5 is the only time he's going to look not comfortable, but I think he's going to look really determined. I think Khamzat's going to come out really fast. And I think that this round is going to be one of those round of the year candidates where it's just going to be gritty, tough. Both are going to take some massive shots. Someone's going to get dropped in the round. But I think that DDP's cinder block of a chin and his just will to win is just going to come out on top. I've picked against DDP almost every step of the way, apart from the last Strickland fight and the Adesanya fight. But every fight before then I have. And I think that Dricus is starting to get into a groove, but I think that this is a massive, massive stylistic difficulty for him. And I can still see the finish in round 1 from Khamzat. I really, really can. But I just think I can see Dricus being too strong. And I'm going to be too mad if I pick Khamzat by round 1 submission and this happens. Because for the entirety of this build-up of this fight, this is how I've been thinking. I don't think either fighter finishes each other. I don't think that Khamzat in round 3, 4, and 5 is just this sitting duck people make him out to be. I think he's still going to be very dangerous on the feet in those rounds, and I think that Dricus is still going to struggle with him, but he'll be able to slightly outland him, and I think the grit of Dricus is really going to be the difference. We've seen grit from Khamzat, but there's next level grit from Dricus. I think we're going to come out of this fight being being, I always say that, but being impressed with DDP's grappling and impressed and surprised with Khamzat's striking. But I think that DDP is still going to be able to get this done. I think it is going to be by decision, though. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Who do you think takes the win in this fight? If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe as always, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.